Coming up tonight, we have the current and reigning WBO super featherweight champion of the world, Mr. Jamel Herring, who is not only an excellent fighter, but a former Marine.
Yeah. Hoo-ah. Hoo-ah.
Welcome to the champ and the chump.
And who's the chump?
You.
Me. Welcome to our show, people. Mr. Herring, how you doing, sir?
What's up, man?
What's going on?
How you doing?
You're doing well, man. So you are the world champion.
Yes, sir.
Current and reigning WBO super featherweight world champion. I told you, I texted you this, man. I'm excited because you're the first current champion we have on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what part of the world do you live in?
Right now I'm right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, in Mason, but I'm originally from Long Island, New York.
Yeah, man. I'm from Manhattan. I looked that up. I saw you're a Long Island guy. You're from
Yeah.
out in Suffolk, right?
Yep.
And when did you move out of Long Island? How old?
Basically when I enlisted into the Marine Corps back in '03.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your
That's-
service, sir.
Thank you.
I saw, man. You were a gunner, which must be some intense shit, huh?
Yeah, man.
Well,
It was
just
crazy
not to get too crazy into that, but like a gunner, we were trying to figure out what a gunner is. Is it a guy who sits in a tank? Is he a guy
Are you in a tank?
on the Humvee. On the Humvee.
Oh,
You're in a Humvee.
Yes.
wow.
Your job is to shoot whatever comes around.
Whatever, yeah, basically just be the eyes and ears of everything that's going on around and surroundings.
You know what's funny? Because I feel like you kind of fight kind of similar. Like you're real sharp with the punches. You're real calculated. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I mean, a lot of basically what I brought up to boxing came from my military background, because you got to be basically mentally tough,
Mhm.
to go through a lot
Very much so. Very much so.
uh,
Well, how many years you doing in the Marine Corps?
I did nine.
Wow, congratulations. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
and you met Matt McCoy in this enlisted,
Yeah,
right?
do boxing, Armed Forces tournament championship. Matt's been a cool dude ever since. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like the military is definitely a strong, brotherhood. So you create and build bonds with people from all over. Like that's what I think the best part of it is that you meet people from different aspects, not only in the country but the world. Because you have foreigners who come to America as well, and they join the United States military, and you just basically get to sit back and learn their culture, their background, their upbringing, and it just gives you a whole different, a broader perspective of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You on USA? You on Team USA as well, right?
Right. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, I was the Marines that were with me were Mike Demos. He was a 65er, 65? Yeah. Mike
Yeah.
D, he was
Yeah.
that was my man. He was a good dude, man.
Yeah.
You guys were both captains. You were a captain as well,
Yeah,
right?
and I was captain of the US boxing team as well.
Okay.
But only one sergeant we got. Two captains, only one sergeant. And that's him.
All right. So tell us, how long you been boxing, brother? How long you been boxing?
I've been boxing since 2001. So yeah, 20 years now.
Damn.
It's
20
great.
years.
So,
Great.
how old were you when you turned pro?
Right after I turned pro in 2012, right after the Olympics, and I think I was going on 27 at the time.
Okay.
Right. So it's like because right at the Olympics, my military career, my enlistment was coming to an end. So it's either I re-enlist or just get out and go pro. And I always knew that the Marine Corps would always be there in case I wanted to return. So I said, let me just take my chances and see what the pro, the pro life has for me.
Yeah, and I saw you as an amateur. You fought Jacobs, right?
You're right.
Right.
That was when I was back in 2002, I believe. I was like we were still teenagers.
How is he your weight? Because he's he's like.
Yeah, he's like what, super middleweight now. We was like back then we was like 132 pounds or something like that.
Wow,
That's because me and Jeremy were talking about it. You are exceptionally tall for your weight.
Right for the weight. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm probably just blessed with great metabolism at this point. You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
what, 5'10"?
yeah, 5'10", and I still can manage to get down to 130 for the weigh-in and
Damn.
just go to work. Yeah, it's
That's a,
crazy.
how big is the cut though?
For me, see, that's the thing. I always believe that if you live right outside of the ring, the cut shouldn't be, it shouldn't be too hard. Like, for me, probably the most I gain in between fights is maybe 20 pounds. So I probably go to like 150. And then
Mm.
when I get there, at that Marine Corps mindset checks in with me, and I'll be like, okay, I need to start bringing my weight down. So you'll probably catch me out there, especially if it's a nice day out, I'll just go out for a run, and then my weight would just gradually comes down from just cardio workouts and things of that nature. But man, I can tell you some stories. I've seen guys could drop down from 30 plus, 40 pounds, and I'm
Mm.
like, I couldn't see myself doing it. Like it just that's just too much on your body. It's too much strain on your body.
Mm.
Yeah, dude. I think the biggest cut I ever did was like 22.
Yeah,
It killed me.
yeah, man.
Killed
That's
me.
what I say. When I feel that 20 pound, I'm like, I start to feel sluggish, and I'm like, you know what? I need to start bringing it down. I don't want to get too heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
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 that takes a lot. So you still have no problem because making the weight at all now?
No, you know what? And as I got older, of course, I had to do different things. Like I brought in a nutritionist. You know what I mean? So
Oh.
during camp, I make sure I get the proper nutrition, not only just to maintain to bring the weight down, but also to be strong during the process. You know what I mean? When I had the right amount of nutrition inside of my body.
I will say that I think you use your height perfect. Like I saw a couple of your earlier fights, and then as your careers went on, I could totally see a difference how you're just your style, you're using your height to your advantage at like maximum possible. You're doing a great job with it, and it's really an
Thank you.
advantage if you use it that
Thank
way, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I always believe. I mean, skill and technique it does make a big difference. But like, if you have the natural abilities, use that to your advantage as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nah, completely. And you're a southpaw, so that right?
Right. Yeah, and that also gives people a lot of trouble. Like this. Like I just take all that and just use it to the best of my advantage.
Yeah, nah, completely. Well, are you a lefty in everyday life, or do you just do it when you fight?
Yeah, everything left hand. Like from the very start, I write everything. I eat with my left hand, write with my left hand. Everything's left. Everything's lefty, and it's crazy. It's funny. Like for like my siblings, I'm the oldest of five.
Okay.
All my other siblings are left-handed except for one, and that's kind of rare because usually everyone's right-handed. But like my younger brother, he's the only right-handed individual in the family.
Wow.
Everyone else is left-handed.
Wow.
wow. My brother's left-handed. My daughter's left-handed, but
Yeah,
she kicks with her.
my youngest daughter, she's left. She started to use her left a lot as well.
It's crazy. It's good though. It's good. It's good. Do you feel like you have somewhat of an advantage when you're fighting as a left-handed fighter?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, the people, especially with boxing, they always say that you don't come
You guys
across
are backwards.
you don't come across a lot of left-handed individuals as it is. So
Hmm.
when a right-handed fighter comes across a left-handed fighter, it's kind of like it's a bit awkward for them because most
Hmm.
times,
I would stay away from southpaws.
yeah,
Like they had the flu. Like
yeah,
yo,
exactly. So you when you have, especially when you have a southpaw that's skillful and knows how to take
you know how to
advantage of
do it.
that, it could be a problem for anybody.
I always found that southpaws were real easy to hit with the straight right, but then
That's
again,
right. Yeah, that's the basically the main thing we have to stay away from straight because you're lying
Right hand, left
if you
foot.
don't watch if you don't watch where your foot placement is at, you can easily line up
hmm
with the opposite with the right hand coming straight directly at you. So you got to keep that stuff in mind. But as someone who doesn't pick up on things that quickly, you can fully take advantage of that.
hmm
No, definitely understand that.
do you
What
find you have more trouble fighting left-handers yourself, or you don't think it makes a difference?
No, because it's crazy because now some gyms you're starting to see a lot of right-handed fighters start to fight in the left-handed position, in the southpaw position.
Mm.
So, like for instance, like with me, I train alongside Terrence Crawford. He's known for switching from right to southpaw as well. So, and he fights a lot in the southpaw position. So, when you train with a guy like that a lot in the gym, you get used to seeing that as well. But yeah, sometimes I have heard that I actually have seen and heard that sometimes it's difficult for southpaws to fight other southpaws because that is still kind of rare. But when you have when you have a lot of individuals in the gym who are southpaws as well, you pick up on things. You pick up on things as well, and it kind of gets easier by the as the training goes on.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with it. You've had 22 or 24 fights?
24, 24.
24. Only 2 losses. Which
Right.
one of those fights were the one that was most taxing on you?
The loss against Denis Shavkov, but I actually thought that was actually the biggest lesson. A lot of fighters, when they suffer a defeat, sometimes it can either make you or break you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I took it as a lesson, because I knew, okay, I had to go back to the drawing board, and I go and look at that fight. I'd say, okay, I had to be at this level in order to compete with these guys, at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
But
either let it beat you up, or for me, I was like, he at the time he had much more experience than me. He's at the he also fought at least twice for a world title championship, going on to a third world title fight as well. So he had the experience, and I just looked back and I said, of course no one wants to ever lose in anything, but for me, I was like, I'm gonna go back and watch my mistakes and just improve on where I went wrong at. And as you can see, I never let it get to me. And that's when the Marine Corps and the military aspect played in a part as well. Like, I could have easily just been down on myself and given up, but my mental toughness wouldn't allow that. So for me, it was just like, it was just a lesson learned. And I'm not ashamed to ever talk about that fight with anybody. Like I tell you, when people ask me that question, like I always say that's the best experience I could potentially get as a fighter. Because
it seems like you learn more
yeah,
from a loss than you are from a win.
exactly. Because when you're winning, of course you're gonna everybody who's gonna just tell you, oh, you could do this, you can do that, and sometimes you get misguided or complacent.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that step back, you tell, okay, let me see what I did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let me improve on my mistakes or strengthen my weaknesses.
Yeah.
If I would say,
if I remember correctly, with him, he came in, he would get to you more easily, and your fight since then, you don't let guys get that close. You'll spin off.
exactly, yeah, exactly. He was like in that fight, he was just like always in my chest. He was always there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying, like when I had to, go to the drawing board and just change my surroundings, including my, the people I was working with. Like you pointed out, even my world title fight against Masaki Ito, I didn't, I kept him at bay, and I used all my physical advantages, and I picked up new tricks along the way. So yeah, like I said, I'm grateful for that lesson, because sometimes sometimes fights like that, it builds character, and it shows you who you truly are at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's
So that said, what when you won the next fight, what did you change from the fight before?
Like I said, the next fight I had to fight somebody again after the Shavkov fight. I remember fighting another guy who's actually kind of like a similar build, shorter, and he liked to get aggressive as well on the inside. But it was that fight where I learned how to dictate my space and timing, because of course when some guys see your weaknesses when they start to study you, they think, okay, maybe he didn't learn from this, so they try to implement what the last guy who beat you did. So he was trying to get in, but again, I just I just stayed calm under pressure. I didn't panic or anything like that, and actually ended up stopping the guy in 3 rounds. And remind you, this is an individual who's never been knocked out or stopped in any of his fights, and he was a veteran in the sport as well. And that was just touch right there from that one fight to the next, how much you can learn if you actually take time to actually go to the gym and correct your mistakes.
so
No, I completely agree. I completely agree.
so you're out there with you're training with Crawford. You said.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever spar?
All the time. Yeah, like I said, he's he's one of the best in the business. He's a 3-divisional world champion, of course. I mean, why not take advantage of all that knowledge and skill when if you have it to your disposal? I'm not the type of fighter, like I feel I gain and learn more from those who can actually push me, and who actually can show me different things that I may not be seeing with other individuals. I don't get some guys that get pleasure out of beating on guys and sparring that are lesser skilled than them. But in the end, what do you get from that in the real fight? You go in a
Nothing.
real fight and it's like, you haven't learned nothing. You go from training and beating on the smaller guys, but then when it comes to the real fight, you have nothing to show and improve on. But like guys like with Terrence is, he's bigger than me, he's stronger. He's been in many more world title fights. So, but when you hold your own and you learn each and every day with a guy like that, mentally it actually makes the fight in front of you a lot easier, because you'll say to yourself, I've been in the gym with this guy for 8 weeks, pounding hitting the pavement hard every day with this guy, and he pushed me, and I was still able to hold my own and keep up with him. So if I could do that with a guy like him, the real fight for me, when a guy, and they say people consider me big for my weight class, of course. So when I got a guy who's potentially small or whatever, the fight, on mentally isn't that challenging.
When you say smaller, you mean shorter, because you're
Pretty much,
5'10".
because like I said, they say like I said, I'm 5'10".
Same weight, same weight.
Yeah, and but some of these guys, they like I said, as an Olympian, I was coming down from a junior welterweight, which is 140 pounds or so. I fought as high as as a welterweight. So when I'm coming down from those weight classes and down to a super featherweight, and these guys who are basically moving up into the weight class, you see the difference right there.
What so now this isn't about Crawford at all, it's about you, but just out of curiosity, when you spar with him, does anything stand out that he does that you haven't seen before that's just really
It's crazy. Like there are times where I may get the best of him in sparring, and then like the next sparring session, he'll completely change his whole outlook and mold of what you were used to seeing 2 days ago. Like one day he'll be a brawler, the next day he'll be a boxer, and he'll throw you off your game. But it's up to you as a fighter, a smart fighter, to pick up on that and make adjustments. So that's why I like working with Bud, because you just never know what you get. You may get he may come forward some days with you and press you, or he may sit back and just try to outbox you from a distance, and it's up to you to to figure out how to get in there and do work.
And you're taller, so right?
Yeah, but he's so crafty. Like he knows how to he knows distance very well. He has great timing. He knows how to set traps. So it's a lot that goes into it. Like sometimes you can't just rely on your physical attributes. Sometimes you got to. It becomes a chess match.
Yeah, people.
Which is great, man.
Yeah,
Jeremy and I always talk about this, that the average person doesn't realize that boxing is like what, 90% mental. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they always say 80% mental, 20% physical. Because if it's like I said, if you're in there with another smart individual, you got to learn how to set traps, or you got to take their strengths away from them. You know what I mean? You can't always rely and look at everyone's weaknesses, because sometimes, they may go into camp. Like a fighter like me, I'm going into camp. I'm trying to work on my weaknesses to become one of my strengths. So I can't. So if I'm studying an opponent, I'm not focusing on just their mistakes and weaknesses. I'm looking at their strengths, and I want to take away their best assets when the fight comes, when the real fight comes.
Yeah, you're a thinker, man, and that's important.
So people don't realize that boxing is such a chess match.
Right.
There are some guys, lower level guys, who just fight.
Right.
And then there's other guys like you, and the rest of your peers, and my time, me and my peers, like, who really, this is an art to us, and we do it very, very well. People don't. You guys just hit each other. Nah, you know what? Well, we hit each other, but we just don't hit them. It takes a lot of work to get through a guy's defense, and then to get through his defense and then work his body, or work him to a position or like you were saying earlier, play tricks on him to get him to do what you want him to do, so you can hit him with this punch. People don't realize, man, this is a lot of work.
Even you, Jeremy. Mental. People might think you were just a knockout artist, and you were, but you didn't just like that. That took skill, and that took, you know what I mean. You wouldn't just throw it.
Sometimes you got even have to set up the traps. To get that knockout blow in there. You can't. Sometimes you can't just go. Sometimes you can't just go in there and just throwing for the fences, you know. Because after a
Yeah.
while, because a smart fighter, if you're gonna leave, you'll leave yourself open to get to get hit with something big. So
Hmm.
even a lot of big punchers in history, they would set up traps to make their opponents think they're doing one thing, but they're really setting up something else, and to get you to react. And once you bite on it, that's when they lay down the big punch.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
What is a dream fight for you?
Ah,
A dream fight for me right now, obviously, for me, it's just to unify with another world champion, somebody, especially somebody like a guy who I respect, Oscar Valdez.
okay.
His last fight was a great performance. I was actually rooting for him. A lot of people thought, he wasn't going to win because he was up against a big puncher. He was up against a guy who had a high KO ratio, but he was smart. He stuck to his game plan, and he took away, his opponent's strengths away from him, and he baited his opponent to fight his fight. That was one thing that I picked up. But yeah, I just if any real fighter wants to go out there and just push themselves against the best, yeah, at the end of the day.
Have you sparred with anybody that was an icon for you? Maybe as a child when you were younger or whatever. Any like, did that ever happen?
That's a good question. I mean, I never got this spar in the guys that that I really looked up to when I was coming up, like guys like Shane Mosley or Floyd Mayweather, or and Oscar De La Hoya and Juan Manuel Marquez and those guys. But I did get to spar with as coming up in the amateurs. Matter of fact, you get to compete
Hmm.
against other fellow fighters who actually become world champions down the road, like Jesse Vargas, and we mentioned Daniel Jacobs
Uh
and
huh.
others. So like that's why, and I even fought against my good friend from Scotland, Josh Taylor.
Okay.
And I sparred against guys like Jose Ramirez, and the list goes on. Errol Spence and
You
others.
sparred Errol Spence?
Yeah. So like so it's like you come across. That's where like with the amateur. That's why I was influenced. Fighters who are amateurs to soak up as much knowledge as they can as an amateur, because sometimes they see the glitz and glamour of fighters on TV and they think, oh, I want to do that or I want to be there. But like I would say like your amateur background is like your resume when you're trying to hand in your resume for a job where you want to get
Emotionless somewhere.
exactly for the best position. So I always tell the more experience you get from, especially when you get international experience, because you come across guys from all over the world with different styles. European fighters may fight a certain way. Asian fighters may fight a certain way, a different way as well. So when
Hmm.
you start to learn all these different molds and see these tricks, you put it in your arsenal and it becomes natural, and you have a better chance of getting into the pro ranks when you do come across other fighters from across the globe, and
Yeah.
and so on.
So, who would have been your dream if you could have a dream fight with anybody in history? Who would that be? Do you ever
Dream
think?
fight history. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Yeah.
Like I said, one of my favorites coming up. I was a big fan of Eric Morales. Eric Morales is one of my
Oh yeah.
El Talibe was one of my favorites. Just a warrior, featherweight and up. He's fighting guys that were way bigger than him, and he was giving them, problems and challenges. I mean, he got a great victory over, the great Manny Pacquiao in their first meeting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always give, respect to the guys who did it before me, even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
You said are you in Ohio?
Right now I'm in Colorado Springs, but I live in
Oh,
Ohio.
Carlos.
Yeah,
You know Tim Austin?
yeah, little Timmy.
19. That's my dude, man. He was on my
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
He was a 19. That dude is a beast.
yeah. And yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio, period. They have a long history of great amateur standouts and even pros. I was fortunate to meet the great Aaron Pryor before he passed away,
Oh
Oh
wow,
wow.
wow.
and guys like that. So yeah, man, for me, I always give my respect to the ones that paved the way for guys like us today to continue to go out there and make our own names in the sport.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying Tim because Tim fought at 19. So I think he was world champion at 25, right?
Yeah. Timmy, I think is a featherweight champion.
How
Became a
how
featherweight champion.
how did you how'd you get into boxing?
For me, I was like, growing up in New York, I was never. a street guy. I was always the kid that always stay active in sports.
Mm,
And I remember one of my friends at the time, Ashanti Henderson. He had invited me to the gym, and his father was a trainer. And just went down there to try it out. Because like I said, I did everything. I played pee wee football, my first sport when I was like 10 years old.
mhm.
Did basketball, track. And basically, if you really look at anything when I like that was like took like running. Because I used to always love to run. So,
Mm.
but boxing. I went down to the gym, and I just fell in love with it, and it just stuck with me. I never thought that even then that I would get as far as I am now. I was just doing it just to do it at the time. But I seen that boxing was like probably one of the only sports that's yearly. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
said, track, basketball, and everything is seasonal. But for boxing, it kept me busy all year round. So that's
Mm.
why I stuck with it because I just wanted. I never wanted. I was never. Of course, we all have friends that may have got in trouble and just stayed in the streets. But for me, I just wanted to just stay busy and and keep my mind focused on other things.
What was that? What was that feeling like when you won that title? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't it fall on what would have been your daughter's birthday who passed
Yep,
away?
that was my daughter's 10th birthday, and she passed away because she passed away at 2 months old from SIDS.
Terrible, man.
Yeah, so yeah, it was that. So that, of course, that I don't believe it was just a coincidence that that fight fell on that day. Like we didn't like I didn't plan it for sure, and my promoter Top Rank, they didn't know that date was gonna
Mhm.
fall on her birthday. Back then, they was looking at it as from my military background, it was Memorial Day weekend. But just
Oh,
that day happened just to fall on her birthday, so it just meant a lot more, and it just it just went to go show that even through my roughest moments in life, I never gave up. Of course, when you lose a family member, if you lose a child, if anything, that's the most heartbreaking thing that you can
can't
possibly
imagine.
imagine. So yeah, so for me, that's why if you look at my trunks, I always have her name just on my trunks because I believe that I look at her as my guardian angel now. So
Mhm.
Beautiful.
and it keeps me and like when I think of like if I feel like I'm straying off on the wrong path, I think about what would my daughter think if she see me doing this. So that's what keeps me on the
Wow.
straight path, and that's why I always have like the only tattoo I have on my body is her name. You know what I mean? And
Beautiful.
it just keeps me. It just it's just a thing to keep me on a good path and just be a good person in life and just be grateful to be where I'm at.
And what about the feeling? So you have that really deeply emotional, meaningful side of it about your daughter, but what about the feeling just all the years of being in the sport and finally achieving the highest possible?
Oh yeah, that's great because people counted me out many times,
Mm,
but and I just feel like somebody like me is just a great position to just to showcase to others that have been doubted and people have counted them out that it's not over until you say it's over. You at the end of the day, you're in charge of your own story. You put the finishing touches on your own happy ending. Whatever you want to whatever you want to write your story.
mhm.
So I was, like I said, even through the ups and downs and the setbacks, I was still able to become a world champion and a respected champion. So and I just basically want to showcase that to the world that I'm just a regular man, just like the next man next to me. But I didn't let people get to me or bring me down. Even when I won the world championship, yeah, anybody who knows me, they will still say that I'm the same Jamel that they known since I was living in Long Island. Like when I go home, it's never anything Hollywood. I just want to be around, good people that know me for who I am. Like, sometimes I tell people, hey, don't call me champ, just call me Jamel. Like I'm still that same, I'm still that same guy. Nothing's changed. I mean, yeah, I respect that you respect and you admire me for what I do and what I am today. But at the end of the day, I'm just me. Like yesterday I was just in Dallas, Texas, at the fights and everything, and people want to stop by, and sometimes they hesitant to ask you for a picture or whatever. But for me, I'm like, hey, me, I'm the type of guy, yeah, come on over here, man. Let's get in this picture. Let's get this picture. Or
Mm,
you like when kids come up, or you want me to sign something? Oh, don't be afraid. I'll
mm.
sign it. I'll give like I'll tell kids. Like I told two kids yesterday. I said, hey, you have a great team around you. You have people who actually believe in you. And I said, remember, 20 years from now, you'll probably be where I'm at. But never forget where you came from. Always stay humble and always give thanks to the ones that got you there. Never forget where you came from and how you got to where you at. And I don't, cause yeah, I don't bring up the glamour of it. No, I always bring up, just
Yes,
remember
yeah.
all the hard work that got you there, and
Hmm.
keep that in mind when you get to that point. And you know what I mean?
It's mostly hard
Yes, so,
work.
so many people see the glamour and
Yeah,
think that's the show. The show is the show, but it's the work behind what you've done to get you in that position to be there. It's,
Hmm.
yeah,
it's years and years of fighting in the trash cans so
oh
that
yeah.
you can finally get on top.
And a lot of people always use Ali as a reference, but I would use him as a reference in a different manner. Like I don't remember him just for what he did in the ring. I actually acknowledge him more for everything that he had to go through outside of the ring. And then because if you look at it, even back then he was hated for his beliefs and things of that nature. But as the years went on, it's crazy. Like he was probably one of the most beloved, not just,
Humans,
I wouldn't even say athletes, but just people in,
human.
yeah, human in general, just because of who he was outside the ring. Yes, we knew he was great inside the ring, but I always believe that people are gonna remember you more for your character. Nobody's gonna remember you for how much money you made in the sport or this and that, endorsements or with it. No, people's gonna remember just for the great human being that you are,
Hmm.
when they come across you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's very true. I say this all the time. People will forget what you say. People will forget what you do, but they will never forget the way you make them feel.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
to me, I live my life like that.
And
I try to make people
I
feel
love
happy.
that.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right because like I said, people they might remember something that you may have said or whatever, but when they come across you and you just give them a moment of your time and they get to just to read you and see how you interact with them, that goes a long way. And they be like, I came across him and he was just like I never forget. I'm a one because for me, I'm social on social media. Like I interact with people. I don't never put on the whole because I'm a celebrity or whatever that I can't interact with anybody. I just ignore it. No, so yesterday I was surprised when God was like, "Hey man, you're just as cool as you are on social media, man. You take time to speak with everyone. You'll take a picture with everybody you possibly can. You never say no to your fans. And like I said, I don't even, like I tell people all the time. I don't even like using the word fans. I always tell people, hey, if you ever see an interview, I always say I give thanks to my supporters.
Hmm.
Because I appreciate those who support,
Yeah.
and respect me. I don't like using the term fans because I feel like sometimes like that. If people take that as like the superstar diva level, I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for all my supporters out there, and I go from there.
Hmm. Yeah. Fan sounds kind of arrogant. Um,
Yeah, exactly. It's not. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not. It's just not me.
so you're in training camp right now, no?
Right. Yeah. Yep. And I should be leaving for Dubai Wednesday.
You're fighting in Dubai?
Dubai. Yes.
Dope. So you're fighting for the listeners, for people listening. He's fighting Carl Frampton,
Right.
and I'm gonna go on record as saying that I think you are going to bury him. I think you're too big, too long. I do. I do. He's a good
Like,
fighter, but he's
yeah,
too long.
yeah, and that's one thing about me. I always give respect to my opponents. I don't feel I have to go out there and trash talk to anybody.
Nah. No.
What?
Trust me. If you see me get out of character, it's because somebody had to really, really say it was disrespectful to me. But like I said, I think Carl's a good fighter, but I think like I believe in me. I just think I'm the better fighter.
Yeah.
But I give him the respect. He's done a lot of great things for the sport. Two divisional world champion. But I believe that this is my time and my moment, and I have something to prove still.
Um.
What does the rest of the career look like for you?
Like I said, like we mentioned earlier, if I had it my way after the Frampton fight, I would love to unify and become a unified world champion. And like I said, Oscar Valdez is probably the next big fight out there because I give him the respect. I feel like he's number one. He beat the man, so you have to give him that respect. Like Ric Flair, like old good Ric Flair. If you want to beat the man, you got to beat the man. So and he beat the man, and I give him that full respect. And like I said, once again, congrats to Oscar and his team. They did a hell of a performance. But
Mhm.
I just want to continue pushing myself and fighting the best out there.
How
How
much?
many fights you got in you? You think?
Yeah.
Oh, for me, like I said, it's all about how I take it one fight at a time, man. You know what I mean? Like you got to take care of your body because we all know combat sports. If you're in too many wars, it'll show up, and it might show up at the wrong time. So you got to just take it one fight at a time, and you have to. I always say you have to live boxing outside the ring, not when it's time to get in training camp. Now you want to just flip the switch. No, when I go home, I still have to take care of my body. I still have to do everything. I still have to live right. Have to, and more importantly, I have to rest, and just take care of myself better. Like I said, I'm getting older by the day.
You're
And
35.
yeah. No one beats Father Time. So, but like for me, like I said, my goal is just to get that marquee fight where I'm a unified world champion, and then I just probably think about doing other things with my life and career, and more importantly, I want to spend more time with my family because as you guys know, training camps they take a lot.
Tough.
Your family sacrifices just as much as you do when you're in these training camps.
Mm.
Completely agree. I completely understand. There's a so. What is the worst part about camp for you? I mean, don't
Worst
give
part
me
is
the
I
cheeky.
can't.
Oh,
Hey,
my family, leaving my family, leaving my. No, no. What's the
hey,
worst work?
when you have to stay disciplined. You have to have. You have
Oh,
like
I forgot I was talking to a Marine, mother.
no. Like for me, it's like I'm a New Yorker, so like my favorite food is maybe like a slice of pizza, but I can't have stuff like that. I gotta stay by the diet, and gotta like I said, I'm already big for the weight class it is, so I have to make sure I do everything right each and every day, and it's like you can't fall off on the deep end because you'll probably throw yourself all off track, and it just so you have to know, like I said, you have to stick to your game plan and just take it one. I just take the thing
Okay,
one.
Mr. Game Plan Marine Corps. What is your favorite food, man? Come on, now. You got
My favorite food.
your favorite.
Oh man, like I love pasta. Pasta.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
a
me.
bad one.
That's just me. Yeah, that's just me, man.
Like,
Like
oof.
I'm big on pie. I'm big on pasta, man. Like me and my daughter will like we cook all types of pasta together. That's our thing together. When I'm home, that's nothing for me. When I'm home, you don't see me out there in
Mm.
the public eye or in party and things like that. Like when I'm home, I love to spend time with my wife and kids, and like that's just me. But that's my thing. But
And
yeah, man, like my favorite food is definitely
Can
pasta.
you cook?
Yeah, yeah. You know what?
You can cook.
Yep. You know what I said to people? I get on my own brother about this. I say in today's world, there should be no reason why you can't cook because everything is done. You can look up everything YouTube
oh,
for tutorials on
that's
Everything.
anything. Everything. Like I mean, I've went from learning how to do certain Alfredos to seafood dishes to Southern mac and cheese. Like and I'm a New York, so I'm a New Yorker, but like that's just me. If I find something that's like, that looks good, let me see if I can try to make that. And I'll just look it up and I'll probably put my own. After a while, I'll make it the way it was made. And then after a while, I'll start putting my own little twist on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that there should be no excuse why anybody can't cook out there.
you have 6 kids.
Five.
Wow, that's a lot of cooking, man.
Three, and three girls, and actually, honestly, and two boys. And honestly, I say the girls are harder on dad than like your boys are your boys. You know what I'm saying? So and like for me, it's funny. That's funny that my junior, he actually started to box, and like
Oh,
me, I'm type of parent that I never push anything on my
uh-huh.
kids. I want my kids to find
How old
their
is it?
own identity, and I'll support it on the way and support it on throughout their journey. But it shocked me when my son was like, he's like, Dad, I want to box. I'm looking at it like so I was like, hey, why do you want to box? And he's like, Dad, because you inspired me,
How
and
old is?
that Dad, he's 10, and that right there meant a lot to me because and that's why another reason why as a role model, you gotta watch everything you're doing because, like I said, especially with social media, these kids see everything. Like now, it's even funnier now when your kids can pull up a YouTube video and they look at an interview and they see how you interact with things. So yeah, for me, like I said, I always like I said, my kids just play a big role in terms of the character that I am today.
For me, it'd be weird. Like I have two children, one boy, one girl. I don't. I'd love like I'm teaching my son how to fight. He's only 7, but
Right.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I see him getting hit. Like, do you ever think about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, of course, because I was thinking about how I feel after a fight.
Yeah,
So
you see your little boy.
yeah, sometimes I'm coming out with cuts and bruises. I'm like,
Uh
man,
huh.
I never want to wish this on anybody, especially my kids.
Uh
Like, so
huh.
I'm like, man,
Uh-huh.
but it's like it's for me. But boxing is like you gotta give him like let's see how he reacts. It's that hard lesson. He's gonna have to learn on his own. It's one thing learning how to hit a bag and pads outside the ring, but when you get in that ring, that's
Yep.
when the real lesson comes in. So we have to see how they react to it.
That's true.
When they get punched in the face, then the truth will come out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um. So,
Yeah, dude.
not to bring the show to a screeching change of pace, but I saw that you were suffering from, at least at one point, from PTSD from being in the
Right.
military.
Right.
How's that going for you now?
Oh, it's going. I'm doing very well with it. Handling it. Like I'm glad I have the support with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially my wife. She started seeing the change in me. And of course, like when you're a Marine, of course, you think you have to be tough and hard and tough skin and all 24/7. And it's like, no, man. I learned it takes a bigger person to acknowledge and express and talk about your weaknesses. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually came out more about what I was going through when I seen Tyson Fury and his story of him dealing with
Oh.
depression
Uh-huh.
and things of that nature. And then you see when he went from like he went up to the high ass 300 something pounds, and
Mhm.
then he came back down, and now he's the best, one of the best, well, the best in my opinion, heavyweight of this current era.
Oh, I
You
agree.
know,
I
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I mean there is a big difference though between his and yours,
right?
because and I don't know if that makes it easier to treat yours or harder. I mean, what do you think? I assume you went to therapy and stuff, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not like I said, not ashamed of anything. I think, like I said, when he came out and expressed, just from him expressing what he was going through, I'm like, man, this was a guy who was at the top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went through depression and he fell back and people counted him out. They thought he was never gonna come out to boxing. And they
Mm-hmm.
thought if he did come into boxing, he would never be the same. And then he came back and he reclaimed,
Better.
the top of the throne. So I was like, it takes a lot for him to even just come out and admit, where he was at, alcoholism and things of that nature. So it made me go out there and get help. And then I started, especially being a veteran, I started going around the country as well to speak with fellow veterans that may be going through similar, depressions at the time or even worse. And I just showed them that, like, I'm a world champion,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm the same as you, and you over there or you over here. We share the same story, but that doesn't mean that we can't get through this together. And I
Right.
always believed in, like, because I've had fellow Marines that I've lost to like suicide, who couldn't bear with it or deal with depression and things like that. So I feel like if I could just at least save one life, I'm happy with that. So, and like I said, for me, I have no issue sharing my story because, like I said, my story may touch somebody, and you never know. Somebody may be going through a similar situation as yourself, and it's like, man, and you can connect with that person,
Yeah.
and you can help them get through their battles.
How did the PTSD symptoms manifest with you initially?
Oh man, like man, at one point in time, I was just like, I would never come out. I was staying to myself. I actually started, like I was heavily drinking, but the crazy thing about it, I wasn't even like an angry drunk, as they
Mm-hmm.
would say. Like I was just like more of like the mellow, quiet
Mm-hmm.
type, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that scares my family more because I wouldn't express what was going on. I would just stay to myself. Like I would, and thinking about it, I would do it like late at night when, like, especially like around my kids and everyone was asleep, and I
Mm-hmm.
would just stay up all night. I wasn't sleeping, and I would just But I'm thinking I'm just it's just something that keeps me cool and calm, but it was becoming a problem. Like I was finishing like a whole bottle of like Crown Royal by myself in like 2-3 days tops.
Oh
From
wow.
every night just hitting the bottle, and I knew after a while, like my attitude started changing, and I just knew, like my wife told me, if I didn't get help, that I would risk losing my family. So
Oh.
family comes first to me.
Yeah.
And, you know,
100%, 100%.
so, you know,
We all have families. And
exactly. So I toughened it up, went out there to go get help, and I'm actually glad I did. And I went out there, told my story, started going like to other bases around my country. Even I did some work with the USO. Going to other countries and with our American troops down in those bases. And I just share my story from what I had to go through from then to now, and I have no regrets. I have no regrets. And people always ask you if I could change anything in my past, would I? And I always say no, because everything that I've been through made me to who I am now.
Hmm. I
very
can't
much.
imagine what it must be like to have gone through, the military, and especially what you did. Did you choose to be a gunner, or do they just assign you? How's that work?
No, I was actually assigned, man. Like I'm listening. Like I was like for me, when I first came into the when I first enlisted, I had there was a thing called open contract. Open contract basically means when you sign up, they just place you in where they feel like they need you in the MOS, in a job title. And my first job title was actually a field electrician. But when I found out being a field electrician, now you get to go out there with guys like with grunts and guys of that nature who need, power and communication. And at one point in time, the war was so crazy that they always say every Marine's a rifleman. So I went from doing like field work in terms of being an electrician to actually being out there on convoys, and I was assigned a gunner, a rear gunner at that, and that's probably one of the most craziest jobs because you're like the very last vehicle of the convoy, and you're up there on a turret,
Oh
and
wow.
you're basically just making sure that nothing comes from behind, no ambushes and things like that nature. So I mean, it was crazy times, especially like when you're 19 years old. You never seen anything like this in America. Where you're from in America, so it's like it's a whole different thing. So I'm like, man, at first I'm thinking like, oh, it's gonna be like the movies, and then like, hey, this is real life here, man. This ain't a joke, but I had to take that one day at a time, because it's like, man, you can't look too far ahead because I think you would drive yourself crazy if you did. So you just had to take it one day.
Marco is from a communist country. He's like one of America's enemies. Marco is.
This is him trying to be funny. I apologize, Jamel. He shouldn't be putting us through this. My mother's from Bulgaria. I'm
Okay.
from Manhattan, but my mother's yes, Jeremy. My mother's a communist.
But he's from the Bulgarian section of Manhattan as well.
Shut up! What a clown.
In Hell's Kitchen. Right now, yeah.
You still
In
have,
Hell's Kitchen?
I'm from Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. Yeah.
So we could actually just jump him. We don't need to kill him. We could just jump him and beat him up.
I was just so glad that I did my time in those days.
I know, man. So are you're not on any kind of a call? You're done completely?
No, because usually I think do like at least 8 years. Yeah, you've done basically your time in terms of being on call.
Mm.
Got that crazy. Like I said, I did 9. And I'm just glad I'm where I'm at now, and I can share my story and just go on from there.
Man, well,
That's beautiful.
we wish you a lot of luck against Frampton. I think you're
Thank
gonna
you.
take care of him easy, and we'd like to get you back again once you unify those titles.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely speak again. Like I said, I appreciate you guys, having me on. Like I said, it's always good just to speak. Just to speak and
Sure.
Hear your story. I get it.
And anytime when you're back in New York,
Beautiful.
if you want to come by the comedy, I'm sure Matt told you I own a comedy club in Brooklyn. You want to come by? I'll hook you up.
Oh yeah. My wife loved that. She
We'll
she loves the comedy club, so she would love that.
Let me know, yeah, man. I know.
It's a pretty good club too. I was there a couple of months ago. Really good club.
Okay, yeah, I'll take you up an offer, man.
For sure.
Anyway, thank you for coming by our show, man. We appreciate it. I'm the chump. That's the champ.
Good talking to you,
I'm
man.
the champ. He's the chump.
He's a chump.
And you're the world champ.
I appreciate it. You guys take care.
All right, man.
You have a great evening, man. Thank you.
Later.